Hello, TV listeners. It's time to get into some more stuff. And today is going to be more general maintenance type stuff. Been driving this thing actually a pretty good bit. We probably put, I don't know, somewhere between 100, 150 miles on it in the last 2 weeks. And had two things kind of develop on it that need to be addressed. One is this is the original radiator that's never been out of this thing, and it's past it. It's starting to leak from the bottom of the core, and there's really no point in patching this thing. I don't think it's flowing very well anyway. So we're gonna take it out. We're gonna save it. Again, this car's so original. All the stuff that I've taken off of it, I've been saving off to the side in case down the road I sell it and somebody wants to try and make it original again. They can. These can be rebuilt. So we're gonna pull it, hang on to it, but I got a brand new fancy Chinese model from Amazon, actually eBay. I bought that one off eBay. So we're gonna see how it looks, how it does. But it was the cheapest one I could find. It was about 130 bucks. It says it's for a up to 73, and this being a 75, I'm curious to see if it'll fit. I think it will. I think the difference is all the emission stuff, like all these weird sensors and all that, probably don't have provisions on that when it's pre-emissions. But that's okay, because that stuff's not hooked up to anything anyway. So we're going to yank this out. We're going to, well, first of all, we got to drain her off, yank it out, try and fit this new one in. The other thing that we've been dealing with on this car is the front tires were cutting into the fenders and actually cutting into the tires pretty good. It's just too soft, too low up front. These tires are bigger than the stock ones, wider than the stock ones. So off camera, we went ahead and rolled the fenders just moderately, and I'll show you that in a second. Took an old aluminum baseball bat, and I had somebody jump in the car and just creep it back and forth, and I just kind of used it to stick up in there and roll and get that sharp lip tucked up underneath. I didn't really like bow out the fenders. I just rolled the lips in. I think that, coupled with the new shocks, which I've got sitting over here that we're going to try and do today, should stiffen and raise this thing up enough that it'll be no issue anymore. These are also the original shocks. Everything on this car was original. So shocks are coming off, and new ones are going on. New radiators going in, and then with all that done, I think we'll be jamming again. So let's get to it. Old girl needs a bath, but you can see, I've got these slices like this all in the sidewall tread. This one's pretty deep actually, and cut in there pretty good ways, to the point where I was getting concerned with the integrity of the tires. So like I said, we just rolled that lip in where it's smooth all the way around. It's a little hard to see, but I guess you have to just kind of take my word for it. It rolls straight back up, and then the lip is like way up here instead of it was sticking straight out and it was biting. And this thing has got a super soft suspension on it. So I'm hoping the new shocks will help that, because these are totally blown out and original. I've got the torsion bars actually cranked up as much as I can without causing interference on other stuff. So the shocks are going to have to make up the rest. This little corner still rolled in a little bit, but I don't want to unfurl it because I think that'll actually make the clearances worse. So that's just that character is going to stay there. And she's free. So radiator's out, fan shroud's out, 4 bolts on the shroud, 4 bolts on the radiator brackets, and now we got all this room. We got the air filter, or I'm sorry, the air conditioning condenser sitting in front. It's going to restrict airflow a little, but honestly the condenser's in what looks to be mediocre shape. And I do kind of have aspirations of potentially one day getting the AC running on this car. So we're not going to take that out. We're going to leave it be. You can see my handy dandy zip tie here. What that's doing actually is the transmission cooler lines were sagging when I took them off and they were dripping. But with just a little bit of upward tilt on them, it keeps it from draining. So I zip tied those up to one of those belts, to the fan belt, just to get them up high enough where they're not leaking. We'll cut that before we reinstall. Gonna go ahead and vacuum up, clean up down here. This is gonna be one of those spots you're never gonna get to except for times exactly like these. So we're gonna go ahead and clean. I'm actually gonna go ahead and, it's gonna be damp, so it's not gonna do a whole lot, but I'm gonna clean it, wipe it down, and I'm gonna spray it, just hit it with some spray paint real quick, just to try and help prevent, slow down rust. And then we're gonna, we're probably gonna go ahead and switch the transmission cooler line fittings onto the new radiator, test fit the new radiator, and if that all goes well, bolt that and the fan shroud back in. And then we're gonna make a trip to the parts store, I think, because I'd like to put new hoses on this thing. And there is a thermostat in here, so maybe a new thermostat and thermostat housing gasket. Might as well, since we're right there. And I don't have those, so we're gonna have to run to the store and pick them up. And then hopefully radiator change out will be nice and easy and done. So I'm kind of curious to see what this radiator is going to look like. That was half, maybe a third of the cost of some of the more expensive varietals that were available online. So we're going to do a little unboxing and oohing and awing and see what we got here. See if it looks even close to what's in here, because it wouldn't give me any specifics on what was different, other than it was different than the 75 model. It said specifically does not fit 74 and up, so I bought it anyway. I figured I can make it work regardless. Pretty. Thickness is good. I mean, it's probably a little bit fatter than the last one. That might give me a little bit of issues with clearance, but I think we can make it work. Drain plug right there, that's cool. These fittings in the bottom, oh, let me get you in here, hold on. These fittings down here in the bottom look awful small thread. Curious to see if they fit what I've got on the other radiator. We're gonna find out in a second. Take one of these off and just see. I'm curious to see if it has. It does. It has a little rolled lip on the bottom. You can see right there. So at least it's not gonna blow off hoses like crazy. So that's nice. All in all, seems like a decent unit for the price I paid. I think it's going to do the job just fine. Not going to put anything on the threads. We're just going to run them in straight. They're we're going to go ahead and try and fit this guy. just a tickle. But like literally just a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and take the unibit and open them up a little. So we gotta drop open at the same time. This guy. Around. Not clean, of course. So if you don't care about whatever that emission sensor is, 73 Radiator works great. So I'm going to go ahead, get a little bit more dirty, and just do these transmission lines from underneath because it's way easier to access them. I just didn't want to delay in all this stuff. But you know what? If it's for you guys, you know? Top tip from me, always have all the tools you need before you crawl underneath, because once you're underneath, it sucks to have to climb back out. I used to be one of those younger guys that thought that that was for the birds and that, you know, what's the big deal? But I've learned I'm no longer one of those younger guys, sadly. Alright, so went ahead and made some orders, and I got a thermostat gasket, upper radiator hose, and lower radiator hose I paid for, but they don't have that in stock until next week. So I'm going to go ahead, because I want to try and actually take this thing out tonight. We're going to pick up all those new parts and do all the upper new today. But since I can't get the lower hose anyway, we're going to go ahead and just put the old lower hose back on now. Get that all buttoned up. And we'll focus on the upper after that. So that way, that's the last of the crawling around underneath we got to do, at least for today. And then next week, at least we just got to change the one hose. That won't be as big of a deal. So go ahead and kind of get this thing ready. Get a little more persuasive. Actually, it doesn't look that bad. Pricing will change. Wow. Let's see if I can get you in here so you can see this. Yeah. Chrysler Pentastar on the top of this thing. I don't know if you can make that out, but that means even the thermostat, original on this car, and still working. More cars are surprisingly. But she's done her duty. We're retiring her. This whole gasket is completely brittle and it's coming apart, so we gotta peel and scrape it off here. Clean this neck up and get ready for the new one to go on. So next stop, suspension down. 16ths here. That started to move. That's wild. Let's see if it'll continue to go without seizing up. That's the trick. This is going so far so good, though. I thought I was going to be double wrenching and cursing and breaking up the grinder, since these bolts are on also original component shocks. So they're what, 49 years old? Jesus. Alright, it's off. Finger tight on there. We're going to leave that. We're going to go to the other side and hopefully get just as lucky. Flop this thing in the air and try and do it on the bottom side too. So what I did on the last one, I'm going to do on this one. If it worked there, I see no reason why it wouldn't work here. I got on it as much as possible with brass brush. Again, remember this thing's, while all original, fairly low miles. We got too much. She's only got like 94,000 miles on it, which, I mean, yeah, still some miles, but for a 49-year-old car, that's pretty good. Definitely got the lowest mileage of anything else in my fleet, which is funny since I've got some much newer stuff. My 2004's got, that Sequoia's got 231,000 on it now. So this is definitely the lowest mileage runner that I've got. Alright, off and back the finger tight. That way when I jack it up, they don't fall out. Loosen the lug nuts up while she's on the ground. Already did the other side. Go ahead. Slide our jack around. And try and find a spot in the center. Break the whole front all at the same time. That's the idea anyway. Put it right under the engine cradle here. And we are airborne. This side, plenty more than the other. That's okay. Find a spot to stick these guys. Yep. We're up in the air, we're on the stand, but we're also on the jack. 2 points of security. Alright. Let's rip these wheels off. So I can't get you in super close. So you just have to trust me that, you know, it's right there. Got the bolts sizes figured out. Winner, winner, 11/16. Assuming that hardware will get reused. Out of here. You get that nut just finger tightened up top, so let's go ahead and take it out. And she falls all the way down. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Alright, let's open these new boxes up and see what our replacement looks like. So we got part number 56002. Monroe Gasmatics, the cheapest shock that had a name that I could pronounce, I could find. Reason being is, I don't know how long we're going to have this particular duster. Oh. But at least that does something for us. And it's definitely going to affect our ride height because it's pretty stiff. Much stiffer than what was there. But I'm not going to spend a ton of money on super fancy replacements for a vehicle that, you know, isn't necessarily going to be a extremely long-term vehicle for me. I go through a lot of cars, as you've probably seen on my copious amounts of videos, all with mostly different cars. So, say that to kind of tell you, I am not cheaping out on this necessarily because I'm cheap, but I'm cheaping out on this because I don't want to spend a bunch of money that I'm not going to recoup on this if I were to sell it. New kit. Here, pretty standard run-of-the-mill deal. New cup and bushing for the bottom. That's going to go on here. We're going to go ahead and try and feed it through the same way we took the old one out. Like so. The tricky part is compressing it, getting it into the pocket, and then getting the bolt back through it. Boom. Like that. That wasn't such a chore, now was it? Alright, we got bottom hardware in. Upper hardware is just gonna sit down like so. Alright, that's on there. That's easy enough. That was way easy. Almost too easy. Strangely easy. Want it snug, and you want to squeeze those rubber boots just a little, just like that, half an ooga or something. That upper, we're gonna have to do the slow way with the wrenches. So let's take you up top so you can see that, and then we'll flop this bad boy back down on, well, we won't slop it on the ground because we're going to do the other side. To date, nothing on this car has been easy, so I'm a little concerned in that it was easy. Rubber's tight, but it's not compressed at all yet. I like to go until it just starts to bulge out, especially on this where it was a one piece and now it's two different pieces. I want to make sure that I've got good compression on the rubber so that it's not going to be flopping around in here. see it. I think you can see what I'm seeing. Where it's starting to flare out just a little. Getting fat on that rubber. We're going to do that one more time. We're going to call that good. Hoping we can just crank the rears up and not have to take off the wheels. I think there's enough room to reach around under there and avoid this step on the back side, because I'd love to be almost done with this project, because I know my back is. But as negative Nancy as I may sound working on this project, at least I have a cool project to work on, right? I gotta look at the bright side. And not only do I have a cool project to work on, I'm gonna get to enjoy this thing and drive it around later, which is gonna be even better. So I really shouldn't be complaining. All things considered, I'm pretty lucky. But again, I mean, honestly, most all of you can do what I'm doing right now. I picked this thing up. It was a fairly expensive project as far as my projects go, but I think I paid $4,200 for this car. Something like that. I paid to tow it home. That was about $200. And then it's just been the little things that you've seen me do. So, I mean, you've kind of seen how much money I've put into this car. The most expensive thing were the wheels. And I figured, hey, if I really don't like the thing and I decide I'm going to let it go, the wheels are coming with me. And I'll put the rollers back on that it came with. Because I can adapt this wheel, even though it's an unusual bolt pattern. It's the 5 on 4.5, which well, I say unusual. That's fairly common. That's also, I think, 5 by 114.3 millimeter, which fits Mustangs and a lot of other stuff. But it doesn't fit a lot of the stuff that I usually buy, which is like old trucks and stuff, which are, like my Fords are all 5 by 5.5. But you can buy adapters that bolt on to your hub, and they have a different set of, you basically bolt those on with your existing lug nuts, and then you bolt the wheel onto a new set of lugs that come off that. So could do something like that and put them on just about anything, maybe even that old crappy truck out there that literally cost as much as these wheels and tires do. I don't know. But for now, we're staying on this because we're going to see if we can get this old girl running. Well, I make her sound a little worse than she is. She's already running. But we want it to be a daily drivable vehicle. That's the goal with this one. I want to be able to cruise it. And with that cooling system dealt with, and the suspension dealt with, I think that's possible. I think it's more than possible. I think that's what's going to happen. Compare that to the other side. Yeah, it's about the same. You know me, I like to overdo it, so give it one more. Done. Boom, bam, boom. Bing, bang, boom. Chick of the China, the Chinese chicken. All right, old stuff out. Tire coming back. And clear. Coming down. Boom. Holy shnikes. Gasser style. I'm assuming she's gonna settle. out of curiosity, let's measure it. Because it was, if I recall, 24 inches from the floor before. 24 or 25. Must have been 25, because 24 would be in the tire. So it was 25, now it's 26 and 7/8. So we gained almost 2 inches. And it's almost exactly the same over here. We're about off by like 26 3/4 here. So pretty close, definitely higher at both sides. Most likely going to be too high, but I'm not going to touch the torsion bars till we drive it around a little and let these shocks settle in. All right, but boom, there's front suspension. Handled, done. It's hard to see it, but I mean, she's probably dead level right now. It had a nice rake, which I liked. She's level, but when we do the ones in the back, maybe it'll rake it back up again. And I'm okay with some gap under the fenders, especially if it increases my drivability, because that's what we're after. All right, we got updates. So I accidentally did a whole side without you guys because it went so smooth. I didn't even stop to turn on the camera. I was amazed. I was just gonna crawl under and test fit everything before I kicked the camera on. I had the right socket already, the same socket that took the lug nuts off, fit on these, and it came off so easy I didn't bother to stop again. The only thing that was a little difficult was there's some rust on the end of these threads, and it made it hard to get this lower completely off. We're going to take the old brass brush that's been getting worked pretty good today, get the threads a little bit, try and at least get some of that junk off there. And then unzip the last 2 bolts that are in my way. We're going to put Mr. Helper on it. Luckily, he's in reach. That wasn't even on purpose. That got it. Actually, this one's coming pretty easy. Cleaning the threads helped. Alright, bottom's out. Not stripped, which is good. Now we got this upper guy, which should come off easier because it's not as in the way of all the road grime and crap that the other one was getting. Yep, there it goes. Got it out. All the bushings and stuff are out. Going in. So it was so much easier on the other side. I'd have looked way too professional to show you that one. That would have just been weird. Alright, we're back in. It's another one of those videos where it's multiple days for what's seemingly a simple project, but we're waiting on some parts. So, got my new upper radiator hood, got my new thermostat, and we got us a thermostat housing gasket. So, we're going to button up this whole top end on this fancy shiny new radiator. I did get the lower radiator hose as well, which also finally came in. I reinstalled the old one because I was waiting on this. It is here. I could do it. Should do it. We'll see. See how the top goes. And then circle the wagon back around to that one. Went in and cleaned the thermostat housing. Pretty good. Got it pretty clean. Especially the mating surface, so we can make sure our new gasket goes on nice and smooth and leak-free. I'm not going to RTD it. I'm just going to trust my cleaning job and this good Fel-Pro gasket. We want to go ahead and fit in our thermostat, make sure it's correct, which it appears to be. Bam, looks good. Go on just like so. Want to go until you think it's almost too tight. But not until it's actually too tight, because then you just yell a lot. Just trust me. Yeah, that's the sauce. Mark and cut. You want to be sure to use a really dull blade for dramatic effect in your video. It's cut about right. It's just not quite the right. It's not quite the right bend, to be honest. Ooh, that's way better. That's virtually unventilized. In the middle, unkinked, not stressed. I think I like that enough to live with it. Yeah, it's barely any kinkage. It's not kinky. It's kink free. We're going to hose clamp it. And I can use one of these Harbor Freight deals, which I don't really want to do, or I can use one of these Waltz hose clamps from Jacksonville, Florida, Waltz Auto Parts, which I like that. I like keeping it local. And the vintage on this is about the vintage of the car, so it keeps it somehow all the same. Look at that. From Walt's Auto Parts. 99 cents. That was a good deal back in the day. Made in America, which I also like. A lot of times those Harbor Freight ones just tighten them a little bit too much and then boom, it shows over. So we're going to give old Walt brand a try. That bend looks pretty nice to me. It's got a nice smooth curve to it. It's not kinked or crimped at all. Tight on the top, tight on the bottom. We ended up lopping off a total of like, I don't know, we'll call it probably 3 inches off each end. We'll go with, all said and done. Actually, no, I forgot about this part we cut off. We cut a shitload off. How about that? Mess load. We cut a mess load off. I don't know, we cut this many units out. That stuff's all gone. But will get used at some later date for some other purpose that it wasn't intended for. So, if there's 2 things you'll learn about me, it's good enough is good enough. And sometimes if something's not bad, you really open the can of worms when changing it. That's one of my credos. I firmly believe that. You start hacking into something and just sometimes just leave it alone is good. This hose, brand new and good. But the one that's on it, not bad either. It doesn't make that crunchy sound when I squish it. It's very pliable. So it's gonna live there. I'm gonna save this one. It comes with this fancy clip from the wall at O'Reilly's that they probably weren't supposed to give me, but they did. So we're just gonna hook it back onto that. Call that good. Installed. So, done. Let's put water in it and see if it holds it all. So we're going to do this method where you take your non-diluted, full strength coolant, stab your hole in it, and just not spill it. It's always good to check for leaks with the expensive stuff. No, but I'm doing it that way because I don't feel like not getting the proper amount in there. Boom. She's actually running and driving pretty good. I've probably put 60 miles on it today, which is a lot considering farthest it's driven before today was within like a quarter-mile radius of my house. But she's doing great, not smoking, not dripping anything, not overheating. It's actually running fantastic. So no complaints. I won't know what the gas mileage is, anything like that, until I get my Speedo cable installed, which I have sitting on the workbench, coming soon. But she's cruising, and I love it. May not be able to race anybody with that slant 6, but she's a good highway cruiser.